So since the start of the pandemic and the lockdown, I've been thinking about how crazy it is that in many ways it feels like it's been only such a short amount of time since it's all started to where we are now. I remember back when there was the large discussion about AWP as to whether or not AWP would be happening or not, and that was the Sunday to Monday before the conference started, and it seems like not even a week before then the conversations around how risky it was to travel, what we can do to keep ourselves safe and healthy were very different. It was just don't go to the affected areas overseas, and then very quickly it turned into we need to social distance, we need to stay at home as much as we can. And I think all of this, especially the pace at which things are evolving and with the cases increasing, and of course, maybe increasing more once we have more testing, I think it's been interesting to think about what I've been giving attention to. And I think in general, the word attention has been something that has kind of hung over the entire situation for me right now because, I think about how the news, for the most part, now is, it's 100 to maybe 85% updates on something related to the pandemic, of course, through necessity. But you think about how a lot of other happenings, aren't happening right now. A lot of other things that we reported on aren't occurring, or if they are occurring, even if they're a little bit more on the side of things that are dire, they just don't get as much coverage in the news right now because the attention for the news is what's happening with the pandemic. For a lot of people, it's what's happening with the pandemic and their employment situation. A lot of folks are in very suddenly in a position of unemployment that they had no way of foreseeing, and their employers had no way of foreseeing that they would have to um, take upon their employees, and especially in industries where you would think that because they have work from home or other accommodations that can be made, that this wasn't something that they would have to face. But their attention quickly went to, what can we do to keep this business going? And maybe that means a staff reduction. That also, in some cases, I've heard that people were laying off their employees so they could seek unemployment, given the situation meant that they weren't going to have enough money to be paid. And for me, a lot of my attention has gone to what are the things that are keeping me happy right now? What are the things that are keeping me sane right now? Of course, I'm like a lot of folks right now. There's a lot of stress and anxiety when I think about what's happening outside. The fact that when I'm going out to get the mail, just in my hallway, my attention is on how can I do this in a way that I am touching the least amount of surfaces while I'm out in this hallway. Um, when I'm coming back in, my attention's on making sure I'm washing my hands for at least 20 seconds. It's a thing you already do. Most of us, we should be washing our hands, but now you're taking the time to maybe make sure you're really counting out that 20 seconds. And but then when trying to step away from that anxiety and stress, I'm thinking about what am I doing that's bringing me joy right now, and it's I'm getting some more reading done. Things have been a little bit slow for a bit. One of the great joys of being a new parent, or a newish parent, I guess. I don't know if 9 months is still new. Is that maybe don't have as much time to read as much of stuff that is your books, but you're reading a lot of picture books and things. So, which I've been enjoying for different reasons, reading with my daughter. But I've also had some time to return to my own reading. I have been playing video games at a rate that has been unseen for years, and it's nice. It's nice to do something where I don't have to think about being productive. I know that there's a lot of people saying right now they're like throwing thousands of words into their novel, or they're doing something else. But I think it's nice to remember that there's a lot going on right now where a lot of us are under stress, and being productive may not be the best thing. It might only further add to pressure we feel to do certain things where, it's nice just, some days to sit back and relax, if you're working from home, to sleep in a few days a week if you can. I've been doing that. Usually I'm up at 5 a.m. so I can get some writing, revision, or some submitting done. And I've been taking more advantage of the fact that because I'm not going to the office right now, for solstice, I have just been taking advantage of sleeping in a bit, and it's been good. It's been good to have that kind of time and appreciate it, and really pay attention to the fact that it's there. That there are moments in the day where, if I want, I really can have a moment to sit back and just kind of exist and be without thinking that something has to be done. And so I think the more that we can focus on right now, where we're giving attention and do our best to monitor it, I think that can really help. If you're spending a lot of time on Twitter, or watching the news a lot, where we're just constantly getting the updates, we need to be informed, but also we need some time to step back and not be immersed in the pandemic as much as we can, even for just an hour. And if that's an hour where, like, hey, you and your family are going to play a board game, or it's a couple of hours where you're going to watch a movie, or read without having the TV or something on. Just something where you can say, like, for this fixed amount of time, we are going to stop and just, like, focus on something that can bring us a joy right now. It's, one of the good things you can do. And of course, that's going to be harder for a lot of people. And in some cases, even in your home, it's hard to find a quiet space to do certain things. But, even if you can find 5 minutes to just have some time to let yourself exist in a space where you're not focused on everything that's kind of going on right now, it's definitely worth your while. It'll keep you, in a bit of a clearer state of mind when you do have to then devote attention to things like, all right, what's the plan for going out and getting groceries before everything at the store is, gone? What's the plan for finding new employment in a situation where a lot of people are now looking? Also, a lot of businesses are slowing down their hiring because of the pandemic. Just take that time so you can stop and kind of relax for a bit, and so that you're also not worrying when you are trying to get to the things that are important right now. And I think that's going to be, one of the biggest things that's going to help us kind of get through this experience, and really take some good lessons and appreciation on the other side, is to just look at where that attention's at, focus on that word, and see where you can put attention toward other things, even just for a little bit. Thanks.